y'all, how are ya? These are our plant sessions. We are back again. My name is Kristen. I'm one of the co-founders of Tula, and today we're going to talk about bromeliads. If you don't know what they are, here they are. They are beautiful, color attractive, hypnotic plants. I'm trying to hypnotize you into loving them. So bromeliads are really cool. If you don't know much about them, they're in fact epiphytic plants and monocarpic. What am I saying? What words am I using? So let's start with monocarpic. Monocarpic plants are, it's actually a beautiful, very poetic thing of a plant. Agavia monocarpic, Bromeliada monocarpic. And what it means is that when this plant flowers, which it is flowering right now, it will begin to produce offsets or pups. And the sad but beautiful fact is that once this mother plant flowers, it will die. And it's very sad, but it's also beautiful because it will produce a little offset, a little pup, like a little baby. And there is, if you can see this is the beginning of a little offset. So the beautiful part of bromeliads and monocarpic plants like bromeliads and agave is that you're never bromeliadless or agave-less, because what they've evolved to do over time and what their species does is it continues to produce itself. So it has just evolved to just spread and grow. So know that when you take home a bromeliad, the flower is not forever. But that's a part of the beauty of growing these plants, is that you can actually propagate the pup after the flower has died and the mother plant has died, and you can continue the life of the plant. So that is monocarpic. And epiphytic means that these plants don't actually grow in the ground. There's epiphytic plants and there's terrestrial plants. Terrestrial plants grow into the ground. They use dirt, their roots root in dirt, whereas epiphytic plants, most epiphytic plants, like it's big. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to epiphytic and terrestrial plants, so we're just gonna generalize. Epiphytic plants are gonna lodge themselves mostly in trees or rocks, and they're using the moisture in the air, as well as they're not parasitic, so they're not taking from whatever they're lodging themselves on, like a branch. They're not using the energy or they're not taking away from that tree. They're collecting debris and leaves and branches and actually using them to break down, and it's like a compost, and it's where the plant finds its nutrients. So for example, like this beautiful big bromeliad right here, debris could fall into the crown of this plant and it can start to decompose, and that's how the plant takes its nutrients that way. It's like a bird's nest fern. Bird's nest fern do the same thing. That's why their common name is bird's nest fern, because they capture debris into their crown. It slowly decomposes, and then on the underside, where the roots usually would be, then it starts to create like a nest of debris, and it's just this beautiful natural way of thriving while floating in the air. It's not really floating, it's just living on a branch. Sounds nice, doesn't it? So we really love bromeliads here at Tula because they're very easy plants to care for, and they add a beautiful color to your home, and they're just structurally a little bit different. So it kind of breaks up the fluid, leafy green large leaves. These have like a really architectural look and feel to them. So we love them. We love them here. And so how do you care for them? So most often when they're grown outside, like in Florida, you don't want to put them in direct sun because they'll most likely burn. But when you grow them inside, you want to give them kind of a much brighter light. You don't want to put them in a dark corner. because they'll lose their beautiful vibrant color if you don't give them enough sun. So in order to keep this vibrance of this color, they need to get a few hours of direct sun. Otherwise, they'll start to fade. How do you water bromeliads? They're a little different than your average plant. You actually water them into the crown. So again, if you imagine them sitting atop a tree branch, they're catching rainfall. And where do they catch the rainfall? Right into the center, into the crown. So how are we gonna show this? I'm just gonna show you here. I would usually do this in the sink, but we're gonna fill up the crown. You know, if you can see that, it creates this beautiful pool in there. And bromeliads do prefer rainwater, so if you have any way of catching rainwater, that would be fantastic. If you can only use tap water, that's fine, but you might see some residual, like kind of white residue, either on the leaves or sometimes on a terracotta pot. That's just from the minerals in the tap water. So you see how that pool of water is just gonna stay there? That's fine, that's what you want. And in a week's time, if the water is still pooled like this, then you wanna dump it out. And you wanna add fresh water. So just as an example, that's it. You just dump it out. Everybody out. And then I'm gonna add fresh water to that if this were a weekly basis. This guy, you can actually see there's a flower right in the center that's coming. I can't wait to see it. This particular bromeliad has a beautiful flower to it. There's no pups yet, but the pups will come because that's its job. That's the only thing it's meant to do is grow and spread. Here's a pup too. You can see this guy's got a really nice, big, beautiful one. See that right there? Dun, da, 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 that's coming. There's no flower yet in this center or on the side. I think this is a center bloom. This would be a center bloom, but it's making its way. For anybody asking, like, how do you propagate a pup? I would wait until the mother plant dies. I mean, if it bothers you aesthetically because it's obviously gonna be brown leaves, and I get it, you can cut off the pup and propagate it. But I usually like to let the mother plant die and give all of its life to the pup before cutting out the mother plant. When you do propagate bromeliads, or if you're replanting a bromeliad, don't use regular soil. You should be using like a cocoa coir because it's a light, airy mix. Again, imagine like how it's creating its own soil from tree and plant debris. It's never like a traditional dirt heavy soil. It needs to be lighter. So cocoa coir is best. Cocoa coir is right here. It is a light, airy shreds of coconut shell. It's a really good amendment for soil, moisture retention, and it doesn't weigh the roots down. It keeps it really nice, light, and airy. So like things like bromeliad and alocasia really love cocoa coir soils, and then we also use it as an amendment for other tropical plants, like ferns that need a little bit more moisture retention that you don't want to weigh too heavily down. Okay, so that's bromeliads, guys. They're monocarpic, they're epiphytic, they're beautiful, they're colorful. They add tons of light and structure and beautifulness to your home. How you keep these, you can either keep them on the floor or you can figure out a really cool way to put them on your shelf. Like even like in a little glass container where it's kind of tilted so you can see the flower a little bit better. You know, there's plenty of ways. Come and talk to us about ways of designing and styling your plants. But of course, you know, it has to be the best environment for the plant first. So any other questions, never hesitate to reach out. We're always here. You can email us at care@tula.house. And thank you so much for joining me today for a plant session on bromeliads. My name is Kristen. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.